from a financial piece alone and what I wanted in that chapter of my life, I wanted time so that I can focus on my business and continue to grow and scale it and do all the things. And then I also wanted and honestly needed more time for self. Welcome to Mindset Mastery Podcast, where we explore the intersections of motherhood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, and in each episode, we're diving into mindset, emotional regulation, and the real stories of mom entrepreneurs navigating both business and family life. Let's get into it. Alrighty. Hello. Welcome back to another episode on Mindset Mastery with yours truly, Julissa Edwards. Today, I'm going to be talking about all things au pair, what it is to have an au pair, what program we use, more insight on that, pros and cons, our story, our lessons learned. Now have been in the program for about 7 or 8 months. Yeah, if it's for us, is it for us? Is it not for us? What are our reasons why? Coming at you this episode to give you full transparency on what this has done, positively and negatively to us and our family. Unbiased. I'm not here to persuade you into either. I know a lot of mamas have hit me up on Instagram stories and things of that such, wanting more info behind the scenes because they're thinking about it for them and their families. So yeah, let's get into it. So what is an au pair? An au pair is a live-in nanny, if you may, usually coming from a different country. So we have gotten our au pairs or have worked with our au pairs through a program called Cultural Care. There are plenty of others out there, I'm sure, but this is the one that me and my family chose. And so let me back up by saying, why did we choose to have an au pair versus like a babysitter or a nanny? And for us personally, when we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, we had about 3 babysitters on rotation. And so my understanding of like what is the difference between a babysitter and a nanny, like a babysitter will just like watch your kids. I don't want to say just, they will watch your kids. And depending on their age group, that either entails of more or less tasks, whereas a nanny can help with also like household chores and other things that are associated to the children. So, like price points will vary in my experience as a mother in this field. When I was younger, I used to also babysit kids when I was in college, like to make ends meet and stuff like that. So I've been both on the provider side, now I'm on the mama side of things. And yeah, so I would say like price point babysitters can range anywhere like I guess if you're getting, listen, I'm no expert in this. It's just what I've seen on like Facebook groups and stuff. Anywhere from like 10, 12 bucks if they're like super young and they're not really doing much, all the way to like 20 an hour, maybe 20, 25 plus if you're hiring a nanny because they're doing more things for you per hour. And so when we were looking to the au pair program, we cost was a big factor for us alongside other things. So when we say that we have an au pair, I think people automatically think that we're like balling because it sounds super fancy. But truth be told, it was actually cheaper for us to get an au pair than paying for a traditional nanny that would come to our home 20 hours a week. So the reason why we got an au pair is because we wanted consistency within our household as to who cares for our children. I'll say that me and my husband are blessed to both work from home and are blessed to make the decision that we didn't want our kids out of the house at a daycare center since we had the funds to bring someone to our home to watch the kids under our roof while we were working. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I run my own business, and so I have my hours that are pretty flexible. I mean, like I have a traditional work week or a traditional schedule that I stick to and adhere to, but of course, things change and um, life happens and like work stuff happens. So I do have the autonomy because I am my own business owner to switch and see as I see fit, which is a blessing. And I will also say, if I'm being fully transparent, that also sometimes comes with stress because my husband is more of the traditional worker, 9 to 5 worker, even though he too is working on his own entrepreneurial things in the tech world. And maybe we'll talk about that one day later together as a couple. But yeah, he's more traditional and where like his hours are the same every Monday through Friday, nothing changes. And so when as a family, when we're deciphering of whether to have a nanny or an au pair or this or that or the hours and how much we spend and all of that jazz, it's really upon like what kind of support do I need at this time? Because the way that I set up my work schedules is that I work 20 to 25 hours a week. If I need more time than that, it's usually after the kiddos go to bed. Like some weeks are just heavier than others in business. And yeah, so it's really like how can we hire someone for our family to help support me in my business so that I can continue to be a present mom where I'm not working 40 hours plus a week, but I'm still getting some alleviation and some uninterrupted time to work on my business so that I can see my clients. I can't have my children running in the background while I'm seeing my professional clients, things of that sort. So, why do we choose the au pair program? So, having an au pair, that means that they live with you first and foremost. I think a lot of people maybe don't recognize that. We are gathering somebody from a different country to come live with us to have a cultural experience of what it is like to live in America. And so there are overhead costs like for the program itself. There's also a weekly stipend that goes out to the au pair. And then there's also the overhead costs of like paying for their toiletries and their food, and of course, like room and board. And when we did all the calculations, it ended up being about the same price that we paid for having a nanny come to our home for 20 hours a week. And the upsell, I guess you could say. So the reason why we chose an au pair, if it was the same amount, was the hours. We were paying the same amount of money for someone to come to our home for 20 hours versus 45 hours with a live-in au pair slash nanny, right? And so from a financial piece alone and what I wanted in that chapter of my life, I wanted time so that I can focus on my business and continue to grow and scale it and do all the things. And then I also wanted and honestly needed more time for self. It's like when I only had the nanny coming to our home, it was great because I was able to get my work things done, my admin work done for the business. I was able to see my clients uninterruptedly, and that's great. And I will say that's all that we got out of that because like for self-care and things of that sort, me and my hubby just made it work where it was like, okay, you get your nails done on the weekend when, Delroy isn't my husband, Delroy isn't working and he can, watch the kiddos and take care of the kiddos. And we would do that for each other all the time because that's all we had. All we had was someone coming in to watch the kids while I was working, then everything else kind of fell on us. So we were in a place of our lives and where we wanted more support. So the au pair program seemed like it would be a good fit. Another reason why we went into the au pair program was because we also wanted consistency within our caretakers. I'm hella spiritual, and so I always feel that the women that I attract to care for my children are beautifully ambitious women who are babysitting either to make ends meet or as a means of extra income, or it's like a stepping stone for them to do something greater, which I'm never going to be upset about. I love that I always attract ambitious people in my circle in every area of my life. So what was happening with us in Charlotte was that yeah, we would hire somebody for like, I don't know, like 2 to 4 months, 2 to 6 months, and then, they would be a switch, which honestly, that's not that bad. And we just fell into like an unlucky pattern where we would hire somebody and then like in 3 weeks they would find a full-time job, or in like 2 months they would find a full-time job. And so I'm not mad at them for getting a better pay, better position for their careers. I applaud, celebrate them. In fact, most of my individuals or the women that have cared for my children, they're like family. It's like I thank you so much for caring for my children, loving my children for even if it was just 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. I've had someone that's been with their family for a long, long time, and now she's literally like a sister to me. She's part of the family, even though she's in Charlotte, like we say, updated and all the things because you've taken care of my children. How could I not love you, right? And how could I be upset if your life has gone to better opportunities? Like I'm always going to clap for anyone, but of course for anyone that's in my inner circle. So yeah, we just needed more consistency. We needed structure where I knew that I could depend on somebody and that they weren't going to be doing something else because they would be contracted for 12 months with our family. So, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I tend to share most of my day-to-day updates on my stories and things like that. So, we got our first au pair back in January of 2024. Wait a second. So I've been in the program for 9 months? September. I'm like literally doing the math in my head right now in real time. How is that feasible? Yeah, I think I have 4 months of the program left. So yeah, so when you pay for the program, you pay for 12 months. There's an overhead cost, and then you pay the au pair a weekly stipend, which that's only $200. Because of everything else that we're paying for, it just makes sense, right? So again, we calculated all the costs, the overhead costs, the weekly stipend, the room and board, all of that jazz. It came out to almost equivalent to what we were paying for 20 hours a week. So we welcomed our first au pair back at the end of January, and it was great. She was a wonderful girl. She was 19 years old. A little on the younger side. We learned a lot with her. She had a great heart. She loved the kiddos. There was no problem there. I would say that, like, as an individual running a household, as a mother, as a woman running a household, things that we had to learn with the program were like just like management skills of another adult in the house, being really organized with how we want things to be handled, how we want, like, I'm trying to give like specific examples, like when should you be doing the laundry for the kiddos? What days would you be cleaning up their playroom and their room? And um, just like an employee per se, you have to keep tabs on them, right? And so it taught me how to become even a better manager. Just being fully transparent. There were some times where, and this was no fault of the au pair herself, it was just me going through growing pains. I'm already doing so much managing in my business. I have two team members who are phenomenal. Um, and yeah, like it forced me to become a manager of my household and then a manager of my business. And I will be frank, at some points it felt like, damn, like all I'm doing is managing people all day, managing my clients. And at one point it felt very like I felt very stretched. But like everything else in life, I took it as a learning lesson of like, okay, how can I be even more organized? How can I have even better structure in my household alongside my business? And so we had a great thing going where we had weekly and monthly schedules projected 1 week ahead and of course 1 month ahead to have the family on the same board of like what's going on. Like for example, on Thursdays, me and my husband were on a softball team. And so that was one of the things that we got to do because we had an au pair. That wouldn't have been feasible with a regular nanny or a babysitter because, like, sure, we could schedule in those times, but if we're committed to being a part of a team and let's say our nanny gets sick or something, like it just wouldn't be guaranteed. And then of course we would have to pay someone to watch our kids while we're enjoying a sport. Whereas with the au pair, 45 hours a week, I got my 20 hours of work handled. And then I had time to do my nails throughout the week without having to count on on the weekends when my husband was available. I got to go to business meetings. Like I was a part of a women's group where we had like weekly meetings and I got to do that, which wasn't pertaining to the business particularly. I had more time to myself. Um, and that was honestly like at that time, I really needed it. Oh my God, I was such in like I would say I guess survival mode of like it was just the four of us, having two under two, running a business, doing all the things with limited support. It was definitely a lot at times. And having an au pair just kind of gave us a breath of fresh air. We were able to, like I said, have a softball team, do different things, have a social life, knowing that somebody was going to be there taking care of our kids that we didn't have to pay extra for, right? Because if I wanted to do that when we just had the nanny, it was okay, you get 20 hours for business. And then if you want more, you could always ask her to work more, but that's an extra cost, right? And so, yeah, having an au pair was great for the time. Now, here's the other side of the coin. as a mother to little ones, my babies are now 3 and almost 2. Maya will be 2 on Friday. Oh my God, when you guys hear this episode, she'll be 2. Um, yeah, so it was a lot of mental friction for me of like, am I spending too much time away from the kiddos? Is this too much support? I will say in the beginning that was a big shift for me because I was just used to either working or being with the kids, and like that was it. And that maybe that was a little unhealthy, but that was my life for like a good 18 months, And so there was a lot of times where I doubted if like, is this the right thing? Do I really want somebody else to be putting down my kids at night and not me, or waking them up and not seeing my face first thing in the morning, because having an au pair also allowed me and my husband to go to the gym together. Like we could never do things together because it was either dads with the kids or moms with the kids. And, we figure out our social life there. And so me and my husband being able to hit the gym together, being able to work out together in the mornings before work, like that was such a blessing. That was such wow. I mean, I didn't have that time with my husband for such a long time. So though that was such an added pro to the program and what it offered. Um, yeah, and then like I said prior, we just wanted consistency. We wanted to know that somebody was going to be with us for 12 months. And there wasn't going to be much change for the kiddos because at one point, with all the changes of the babysitters or nannies, I also felt like, damn, are we like screwing up the kid? Like, is this too much change too fast? Like, what's going on here? And so here are, I guess, where the cons came in for us for the au pair program. This is just for me personally. It doesn't have to be your story, but yeah. So, you're living with somebody. So, yes, they become a part of your family, but at the end of the day, like I can't be walking around naked in my household. We have somebody else to think about. It forces you to be more on your toes, which is great. Like the house is always, I would say when we had the au pair, the house was cleaner because we had somebody else living with us. Like, like as a regular person, like you let things slide. Sometimes laundry will pile up, but because we knew that she would need to do her laundry on some days, and of course do the kids' laundry on some days, it's like, well, we have to be on our P's and Q's. Um, because the house has to be organized so we can model what kind of lifestyle we want to have. And so that's a huge benefit and a plus that made us better household managers. And then on the other side, it's like we never got a chance to just let life happen. Like we never had a chance to be lazy, if you may, right? Like we always had to be on it. We always had to have things clean because I was trying to be a really good house manager so that our au pair had a good structure foundation of what a good model of what we expected from her as well. Um, yeah, so alongside having someone live with you, it's constantly thinking about a fifth person for us, like thinking about their accommodation, their wants, their needs. Are they happy with the kids and the life that we're providing for them in this household? Um, and sometimes that would become cumbersome, I'm not gonna lie. And if you've been following my stories, you now see that we've now ended the second au pair. So one of the reasons that we went into this was to have consistency in our childcare, and unfortunately, we have not had that. So nothing of like malice that happened between us and the au pair. It's just like life happened. So our first au pair got married, and we were super happy for her. We gave her like a wedding gift and all of that jazz. But the reality of it too was that that put a major stressor on us because she ended up getting married or engaged right before our move to Charleston, South Carolina. We were moving. And so then it was like, oh my God, oh crap, we literally have to find another au pair now within the same program. So we have like a database of where we can choose from. Um, and we had to find a new person within like literally 2 weeks time. So the second au pair that we got was magnificent with the children. She was a teacher in Colombia, so she had good skill sets to bring forth to the children. I will say because of our time frame, it was a rushed interview process and a rushed onboarding, which I think she handled all that really, really well. It was just a large stressor for our family because it was a lot. So, Yeah, our first au pair got married. We moved on to our second au pair. We onboarded her. And for anyone in the program, it takes like 1 to 3 months to get fully settled. So like when we were trained by the program of like what to expect, they were like, you hire an au pair, you have a 1 to 3 month um onboarding process of like getting to know one another before things get easier, right? So I think we had our first au pair for like 5 months. So then we had like a 2 month grace period of like where things were really flowing and easy, and then we had to switch. And then we had to train the other one yet again. And then we literally just hit our sweet spot with her. And then she tells us that the location that we're in isn't good for her. She wants more of a city vibe, which again, I can't knock her for. It just sucks because though I thought joining the program was like, no, we're contracted for 12 months. And so like, like keep up your end of the bargain kind of thing. Um, so, I was a little stressed and annoyed about that, but to be frank, I don't want somebody caring for my children if they're not happy. So, like, I thanked her for letting me know that she wasn't happy and that she desired something different. This also makes me a more skilled, like, manager of this process of like I need to ask better interviewing questions when we choose our next au pair so that hopefully we don't come across these issues again. I will say now not having anybody, so right now we have a babysitter for about 2 months. We've hired somebody to just come care for the children while I'm working. And I decided, we as a family decided to do that because I needed time to settle. I needed time to, or I'm in this period right now. I need to fully unbox. We just moved literally 3 weeks ago into our home. And we were coming from a pretty chaotic summer where we were living in Airbnbs for 3 months while our home was being built. Well worth it. This is a beautiful house, beautiful community. We're very happy to be here. And I just want to settle in without having to worry about a fifth person that I have to care for via, the scheduling, their mental health. That's another thing too. Like when you're caring for a fifth member of your family, essentially, as the au pair comes into your home, you're also managing their emotions. Like, no, I'm not their therapist, but like it's like a daughter. It's like an older, you can either view them as like an older sibling that taking care of your little ones, or you're like a daughter, like um making sure that like, hey, like, have you contacted your parents? Right? Sometimes I would, our au pair, like, she wouldn't respond to her family quick enough, so that her family would hit me up, and she's like, oh my God, is she okay? Like, at the end of the day, it's a young woman, a young girl coming to another country, for work, and it's a learning experience, and like, I'm responsible for you. Right. So keeping tabs with her family and so on and so forth. Like, if you're getting the gist of this, it's just a lot of juggling. And like I said, the pros were definitely worth it. Like me and my husband were able to have sanity, peace of mind, extra hands to help with like the chores of cleaning, anything that pertained to the children, and laundry and like linens and stuff like that. Like phenomenal. Hey there, before we dive back in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're loving the Mindset Mastery podcast, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us reach more moms and entrepreneurs who are looking to elevate their mindset and balance it all. Plus, it means the world to me. Thank you so much. Yeah, so back to where we're at this stage of our lives, or chapter of our lives, is, yeah, I needed the space and the tranquility and the alleviation of stress to not worry about somebody else at this time. So, we hired a beautiful woman in our neighborhood. Actually, she's our neighbor who was looking for work. It just happened to work out perfectly where she's in between jobs. Or I should say, she just moved from a different country. And yeah, she's looking for some income while also applying to full-time jobs. So perfect. I'm like, we just need someone to fill in while we wait for the next au pair. And yeah, so we hired her for 2 months. My plans within these 2 months is to recalibrate, reground, recenter, build a name and foundation for ourselves in this neighborhood without also having to manage somebody else. Um, And yeah, just work. Work is really busy for me at this time too. We're doing a lot of rebranding, a lot of new services that are coming about. We're hiring people, and it's all good stuff. It just requires a lot of brain power for me to do all these things. And I was like, if I could just have the alleviation of not having to worry about somebody else right now, that would be great. So that's what me and my husband decided on, and that's where we're at right now. And I had to think long and hard of like, do we want to try this for a third time? So we already paid for it. So it's like we might as well get what we paid for. But yeah, we have about 4.5 months left of the program, and that's where we would have to find somebody else to fill that gap in for those 4 months. And I was like, is it worth it to get somebody for 4 months and then say goodbye once again? And then what do we do then for childcare if we're gonna go back to babysitting? So but it's okay. One step at a time is how we've been doing this thing called life, one thing at a time. And for right now, I'm very grateful that we found someone that is super cute, upbeat, great with the kiddos, is in our neighborhood. We trust her, we like her. The kids like her and have taken well to her. And yeah, I'm thankful, I'm grateful for the universe providing us with exactly what we need at this time while we unbox, get settled, fully transition, get our furniture. We don't even have all of our furniture yet. Y'all know, when we order things that it takes months to arrive. So we're waiting on a lot of things. And it's like, yeah, let's just get our house somewhat fully furnished, get acclimated, and then bring in a third person. Um, I have high hopes that it will be great, even though it will be short-lived. Um, and I'm also open. I feel like if I'm being fully transparent, like as a human being, I kind of felt burned by the program a couple of times because I felt like you were supposed to make my life easier and you kind of made it harder at some points. You definitely made it easier in some areas of my life, like I should prior, but then it came with all this other stress. So, but you know me, I take everything as a learning lesson, and it taught me how to be a really good manager. I know for a fact when I begin to interview for this third au pair, I will be much more diligent on what I'm requesting and what I'm asking for, and be a lot more straightforward with what our family needs at this time. And yeah, hopefully that will help us land the perfect match for the remainder of our 4 months in the program. And like I said, I am open. If that means that we get this third person and like, wow, they're phenomenal and we love them and we want to extend our time with them, maybe we'll do another year of the program. Who knows? Um, we shall see. So yeah, those are our plans for right now. I'll begin looking for a third au pair probably in like a month or so, maybe hire her by December, yeah, probably by December, have her until March, April, and then we'll see where we're at. My kiddos are also, Marcus is gonna be going to school or some type of program in the near future. He's 3.5. I definitely want to get him in something where he is being challenged academically, socially, and just give him structure. And then by that point, Maya will also be a little bit older. Maybe she can go into some type of program too. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not stressing it. I can only take things one day at a time. And I have this beautiful belief system and faith that always shows me that the universe has got my back. God has got my back. I'm always provided for. I'm always cared for, even through the thick of madness. We're safe, we're held, and we're covered. My angels they're so beautifully powerful. They're with me all the time. They talk to me all the time. They give me messages that everything is going to be great. And so that's all I have to ride on. I'm a really hard worker. I do my best to make sure that people are provided for, anywhere from, of course, my kiddos, my family, my clients, anyone that comes into our household. Like I like to give people a beautiful experience of what it is like to be in our family because we have a beautiful family. We're amazing. And if you're going to be a part of that, I want you to mesh well with us. And I want you to respect what we have going on here. I'm running an empire. I love my business to death. I want it all. I want to be a stay-at-home mom and I want to have a thriving business, and it doesn't have to be hard. It shouldn't have to be hard. There's just moments of internal turbulence, you would say, from time to time, but whose life is not like that? And this is again has taught me so much about myself, what I like, what I don't like. I think if anything, this program experience has taught me to be really firm on my nose and like, nah, I don't want things done this way. You have to do it this way. If you're going to be here to aid our family, it must be done in this facet. Also, always with love and respect, but I think I've gotten really good at not being passive of like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. And it's like, nah, at the end of the day, this is a service that we're paying for and it should be done to our standards. And so making sure that is brought up in the interview. I've grown so much. I've been stretched so much this quarter, this summer, this year, 2024, this year. And while I am exhausted, just being frank, I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud of my family. I adore my husband so much. Like I could not do this life with anybody else. And we be doing the damn thing. We be killing it. We're hard workers, we're honest, we're loyal. We treat people with respect, with dignity, and we just want the same in return. That's all. We just want the same in return. Um, yeah, I'll save I'll save all the other details. There was a lot more behind the scenes that went down as to why our second au pair left, but that's neither here or there. We wish her well, and everything was a learning experience. So if you're thinking about doing this for your family, honestly, I do, if it's done well, I think it's a great program. Um, I think it's intended to be what you make of it, to be honest. I think I'm going to view our third au pair as more of like a mother's helper, where it's like, yes, you cover my work hours, but maybe the other hours we're kind of in this together, versus like a separation. I really hope to like really make them feel like they're a part of the family. Not that the others didn't per se, but every person has different personality. So you're also kind of like, it's like luck of the draw, right? It's like you could have a really outgoing person, you could have a really quiet person. Um, if you're considering this for your family, I would say do your due diligence in interviewing them properly and really see what you want out of this. I think we also learned, if I'm being fully transparent, that we as a family may not have been the best candidates for this program. Our major incentive was consistency and finances. And to be frank, maybe that wasn't fair to the people coming in, that we, partially hired because it was good for our pockets and it was going to be a great support. This is a cultural exchange program. Maybe a family would be better fit for a program like this if you truly want to show somebody the ropes of America and learn from their cultures too. I'll also say like because I'm of Latin American descent, I wanted someone to help my kiddos speak more Spanish. So I was choosing a culture that I was already pretty well versed in. Like my mom is South American, my father's Caribbean. And so, we chose two women from South America. So, of course, their cultures are a little bit different than mine, but pretty much the same. So, I'll be honest, like I really wasn't in it for the cultural exchange. Like I already know what it's like to be Latina. I just wanted someone from Latin America to help me enforce Spanish in the household. And so, yeah, maybe we weren't the best fit. Maybe it couldn't just be a money factor and a conveniency of like having somebody for 12 months, which didn't happen anyway. I would say if you're open to having somebody share your life with you, if you're open to that cultural exchange of the program, and this might be a really good fit for you. I had somebody text me the other day of like, hey, can you tell me more about the program? And she was turned off by the fact that, like, you might have to pay for travel, for them to travel. Some families put their au pairs on their car insurance, which of course will have your car insurance increase. Um, you really have to want it for the right reasons. And so, yeah, for all that being said, I think, like I said, I'm open to see how this third au pair works out for us. If it's a great hit, we'll maybe extend the program for 6 months after. And if not, I want to be in a better place financially where we can afford um, a nanny for like 30 hours a week, probably. It'll be 20 for the business, 10 for me to like do what I have to do in life. And give me and my hubby some time for date nights, and things of that sort. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. Hope you learned a lot. Gave you an insider to what I've been dealing with. If you saw the 2 episodes with me and my husband, part 1 and part 2, about like all the craziness that we have with just like moving and selling and putting our things into storage and all that jazz. I had all of that happening amongst dealing with the stressors of childcare. So life be lifing, y'all. That's why I say, like, I'm right there with you guys. I am not perfect. I am a human being who has real feelings, and I have to do my own shadow work. It's why I have my own mentors, my own spiritual healers. Because your girl be doing a lot. I wear a lot of hats, and like I said, I'm really proud of where we're at as a family. I'm really proud of myself and all that I've been able to do in my life. And yeah, I wouldn't be here without the support and love from my family, from my friends, from my mentors, from my guides. We're not meant to do this life alone. So maybe this is a message for you to lean into support at this time in whatever way you see fit. But doing it alone is definitely a big no-no. And you won't make it that far alone. So yeah, I hope this message was everything you needed. I hope you learned a lot. And thank you for allowing me and my family to continuously share a story. Thank you for being interested. Thank you for following up. Thank you for asking me questions. I love to serve my community. I love to serve my audience. And yeah, you guys make it possible. So if you would ever so kindly, if you love this podcast, leave a review. That's how we aim to get this out to new listeners, broaden our audience so I can serve even more families just like you and your beautiful family. And yeah, that's all for now, y'all. Until next time, bye. Thank you for joining me today on Mindset Mastery Podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you to embrace your own journey of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship. Remember, it's all about mastering your mindset to create a life of success and fulfillment in both areas. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more incredible moms just like you. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and mastering your mindset.